This is the Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel and Steve Mr. Magic Carfino. Brought to you by Unibet, TCL Plex, and News Corp. What they gonna say next?
Hello and welcome to the Basketball Show, brought to you, of course, by Unibet, TCL Plex smartphones, and News Corp. I'm Steve Carfino, back in the host position. I can just feel Joe behind me trying to snatch my spot. I'm, of course, sharing the table with Shane the Hammer, or should I say, the father of Shyla Heel, dropping 30 in the WNBL. He must be a very proud parent.
Certainly am. It was a nice little effort from the little one. It was good.
All right. Well, I'm going to go on Hammer Time right now because I don't think that got enough publicity. 30 points, 18 years old. Where's that LaMelo Ball hype? It needs to happen. I suppose you're not going to get in on this.
No, I can't comment on that one.
All right.
No, she's doing well, though.
It's okay. Good. All right. Well, we'll split double. I mean, a little double time and Hammer Time right here. Let's go to interview at halftime with Brad Rosen and Will Weaver. Tell us what you think.
This is their second game of the weekend. Look to push it or just play your game?
Yes.
Well, I thought it was rude. Well, the NBL put that on Twitter, and it was a one-word answer, and I thought that was rude. But I did speak to Will Weaver, and Will Weaver said, look, they didn't show the first part of the question and answer, and it was quite lengthy, so he trimmed that second answer down. But I thought he was a little bit rude on that, and he said he thought that Brad Rosen was in on the joke. But I did speak to Will, and he didn't want it to come across that way.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the NBL's tweet, it certainly looked rude because he was disengaged, he was looking around, and then it wasn't a yes or no answer. It was a question that could go either way. And I think coaches and players have an opportunity to be able to educate fans. And in most cases they do. But he certainly didn't, in what we saw there, he didn't represent himself and the Kings and the NBL as well as what I would think he has in the past. But we've got guys that were great. I interviewed Dane Pinot on the weekend. He was fantastic after winning, the Bunnings Player of the Game. Tate is unbelievable. Golding's unbelievable. Jason Kadee. We get some great answers from the guys. There's nothing better sitting at home and listening to the inside of what these guys are really thinking.
All right, because everybody at home wants to know what's going through the mind of an elite athlete or an elite coach.
This is the Starting Five, brought to you by TCL Plex smartphones.
Okay, let's get right into it. Starting five, Perth Wildcats strengthening their lineup. They're not going to make the mistake that they made last year, waiting too late. They are looking to be championship quality. Miles Plumlee, old Duke guy, NBA experience. They look like they're trying to build a championship caliber team.
The fans are going to say, like last year, they won the championship last year. The year before, they took too long to make any changes. Last year, they only had 2 imports. But this reminds me...
But a lot of people, including us, were criticizing them for making a move. They didn't. They stuck to their guns. They won the
for
championship.
not making a move. Yeah, they had their players. And last year, obviously, it was Tarico White. Went from like 15 points a game to 23 in the finals. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, who can predict that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This year... It almost reminds you of when they got Bryce Cotton. And they've just right at the deadline gone, bang, this is the move. Plumlee is an athlete. He's got great size. Made some good enough moves to think he's a massive improvement on Dario Hunt.
Okay.
And a legitimate chance, again, to go back-to-back.
Oh, for sure. They'd have to be the favorites right now. Okay, the opposite side of the scale is the Illawarra Hawks and their import bundle. But, mishap.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I mean, the thing is that I love the way their kids are playing, but you've got to go back and look at the Hawks. If you're a fan of the Illawarra Hawks, you've got to be a bit despondent, saying, how could they get their imports so far wrong? I mean, the other kid that was here, I can't even remember his name because he was here for like 2 minutes. He was terrible, didn't turn up to practice and all the rest of it. The other kid that they've got now hardly played, holding his foot, and then the big fella in Boone, they've got the 2 highest paid players, you would think, in Boone and AJ really have no impact whatsoever. So it's been a disappointing year.
Yeah, well, let's not dwell on that. Melbourne United have been disappointing. They've got the Wobblies. Yeah.
Well, it was always going to be a big question mark, and I always thought they were going to finish in the top 2. But you look at the way they're playing now, and I'm just not sure that they're gelling. I'm not sure that they're feeling good about each other and in their roles. Chris Golding will put on a brave face, but to me, when you look at the body language, he doesn't necessarily look happy. I'm not sure that their point guard has found a way to be able to score when he needs to, but also find a way to be able to get other people into the game. He's either all or nothing at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Long and Melo are two guys that you look at and they're so talented. You wonder why they're not in the NBA. And you start to, sometimes when you're watching the game, you're starting to see the fact that, Chris Golding and Melo Trimble can't really get going at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's something that a point guard needs to be able to do. Long gets great numbers, but for some reason he has those mental lapses for a couple of minutes, a silly foul or whatever it may be. And you start to see a couple of guys starting to do that. It's a couple of key players playing major minutes, and you start to
They've got
wonder.
the talent,
Yeah.
and they could still get it done. But right now, of what we've seen, they're going to step things up quick, because they might not even make it.
Okay. Well, I got to be honest right here. Topic number 4 in our starting 5. I have put a line through what I'm talking about, and I have no idea what we're talking about.
So we've got New Zealand. So the Kiwis have been great over the last month, and then they get their biggest opportunity. They go get a chance to play against Cairns on the road, winnable game, and momentum, everything. A double game against Cairns. Not only a win, but give Cairns, who were third, a loss, and then an opportunity to go home. First time in a while, too, to play against the Brisbane Bullets, and they go bum-bum, bum-bum. They laid a donut.
Are we talking about RJ Hampton?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, look at LaMelo Ball. He's come to the Illawarra Hawks, and he's getting triple doubles, and obviously his stock has gone up, and that's obviously why he came here. But RJ Hampton, different situation. His team is, shooting for a top 4 spot. That's not the priority in New Zealand, is to get him a top draft pick. So, is it a good decision for him? Is it the luck of the draw that LaMelo went to a club that really needed him to have the ball and be super aggressive and get his numbers to help his team win? Is it just a situation where if they swap teams, it'd be a similar story?
Yeah, I think so. It's the right decision for him to go pro. But he found himself in a difficult situation. The culture was so bad with imports coming and going, injuries, a lot of pressure on, outspoken owner. The whole thing sort of just didn't gel. So it was always going to be tough for him. But he just hasn't found a way to get any sort of momentum. I think he's a much better player than what he's shown, probably more because of the circumstances than anything else.
All right. And speaking of a team that's starting to gel, the Brisbane Bullets have had some good wins. They're starting to get that chemistry right. And who would have thought? 2 centers playing at the same time, that would have been the formula that they got together.
Well, I think the formula is the fact that Glidden's back into the lineup. He had 14 points, I think, on the weekend, averaging 6 so far this year. The stages, he just wasn't being played. 10th man off the bench. So good to see him get back. Magnay into the starting lineup. They're trying to make him a 4-man, but he obviously can play 5 as well. Starting to get their balance right. Now their imports are playing more of a role off the bench. So finally, the roles and acceptance of those roles are starting to look like what we thought they might have been at the start of the year.
Well, teams starting to get that chemistry at the business end of the season. Of course, the playoffs looming. People and teams are jockeying for positions. And so we are going courtside with our national correspondents. First is PK. And exactly that's what he's going to talk about. These teams flowing into the postseason.
Yeah, you couldn't have asked for a better round of basketball when it comes to tightening up the playoff race. Positions 3 to 8 are still wide open. I guess that means it's time to start thinking about the postseason. And for Basketball Australia and Basketball New Zealand, some important decisions need to be made. As you know, on the Thursday after the NBL regular season finishes, there's a big game in Brisbane, an Asian Cup qualifier between Australia and New Zealand. That's going to be a beauty. But after that, Australia heads to Hong Kong, the Tall Blacks head to Guam, and, well, those games aren't going to be beauties. Wouldn't matter who we send over there. Both teams are getting the W's. And so I think the decision needs to be made that no players involved in the NBL playoffs head overseas. They go straight to their NBL clubs after the Trans-Tasman game, and they get ready for the postseason. We need these guys fit and firing for what should be a fantastic playoff series. I guess the other thing for us to think about is, now that we've got 9 teams, potentially 10, with the Tassie team coming in a couple of years, do we need to have a 4th v 5th playoff game to kick off the postseason? As we've seen this year, there's very little between 3rd through to 8th, and so there's no sacrifice in standard in having an extra team in there. Why don't we have a one-off elimination game in front of a packed stadium to kick off the postseason and also reduce the gap between the regular season and the semi-finals?
I like it, PK. Definitely the Boomers, that's got to happen. You can't send guys that are in the playoffs overseas for a game that, it matters, but, we should be able to get the win. And then the playoffs, I think whilst there's 9 teams, I actually like that idea from PK saying 4th versus 5th. 4th gets home court advantage, 1 game, do or die, away you go. But when it goes to 10 games, it's got to go to a top 6 again. 1 and 2 week off, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5.
I like that. I really like the idea of 4th versus 5th. Very similar to college basketball where they have the conference tournament and you really can go for broke there because whoever wins that conference tournament gets an opportunity to get a berth into the NCAA. There's a really high stakes, and it's that feel of the Final Four right there. You win or you go home. Very similar right there.
I like it.
Yeah.
But let's get to Derek Rucker because both teams from Queensland are doing well.
Well, the holiday season is behind us, and Queensland's NBL teams, the Cairns Taipans and Brisbane Bullets, fared pretty well during that term. The Bullets held their head above water. They weren't as good as the Taipans were, but yet they find themselves early in the new year in a position to make a run for a top 4 placement. Now, the Cairns Taipans won some big games at home and on the road, but going down the stretch, they'll have to prove to be very good on the road if they want to hold that 3rd position they currently have. Going home for the Bullets, they have really good home games in which they can catch some people. They have the Phoenix at home, they have Melbourne United at home, and they finished the season with Cairns at home. The Bullets also have 1 big road game down at Adelaide. I'm very interested to see how both these teams go. Hey, maybe we have 2 Queensland teams in the NBL finals. Guys, what do you think about that?
That is as positive as I've ever seen Derek Rucker. He seemed happy about his 2 Queensland teams. He was so critical of them all year, especially the Brisbane Bullets. Good to see him with a smile on his face about the teams he's repping.
Well, I think he's been all over Cairns. Cairns have been great. And again, they were good on the weekend, holding serve at home, but dropped that critical game, which I thought was expected against the Sydney Kings. The Kings are always going to be hungry. They'd already dropped one at home. Noy's not playing as well, so that was a game that we expected the Kings to be able to get. But let's get over to West because Nick Lakovic is going to talk to us about Miles Plumlee.
Yeah, well, that was a great move by the Perth Wildcats in signing Miles Plumlee, 7-year vet, 5 NBA teams, a national championship with one of the greatest collegiate programs in all of NCAA at Duke, and the 26th overall pick in the NBA draft in 2012. Well, they now have legitimate size and athleticism, and they will be a formidable presence down low in the post and in the paint because Miles Plumlee delivers athleticism, a rim protector, and someone who can run the floor and finish plays off the back of what Tariko White and Bryce Cotton create. Tariko White and Nick Kay, great talent. They have the best closer and shot maker in Bryce Cotton in the league, and great role players in Norton, White, Steindl and Wagstaff and Majuk. But the DNA of the Wildcats has always been about their pedigree in rebounding and defense, and now Miles Plumlee delivers that for them. The question mark and why this is so important still looms over the fitness and the return of Damian Martin, the Minister of Defence, the 6-time Defensive Player of the Year. Plumlee now anchors the defense for the Wildcats. This is a team that has a scary run home of 5 or 6 games that allows them to build great momentum running into the playoffs. They are now a legitimate championship contender. Back to you guys.
Nick Lakovic looking pretty happy about the chances of the
big
Perth
deal
Wildcats.
for Christmas, mate.
I know he's rocking
like it.
Yeah, all right. And just about time for Joe in the Know. Now we're into the nitty-gritty of the show. Joe in the Know, looking very formal here. Shane's looking more casual. I'm like right in between. I should
Says the man who
middle.
came with a polo shirt 2 weeks ago.
So good.
And he was late. I can't believe he didn't get it. Forget to mention that one.
I've just come from the desk at work, hence why I feel a bit more dressed up. But anyway, doesn't matter. We're still going to get straight into it. This week, I'm staking my case for Adelaide making the top 4.
Ooh,
Nice.
good call.
I knew he would say that. No, I genuinely think they can. That game against Melbourne, they were their bogey team. And they came out and beat them at home convincingly, 100-86. I just think that they have some real belief now. I spoke to Anthony Drumick the other day. He said that they're really coming together, that they do believe that they can make the top 4. Their run home is not too bad either. They've got 2 games against Cairns. They're the only team they haven't beaten this season. And I think that's probably going to be the real key game for them. Other games, Brisbane at home, Breakers away, and Perth away. They've beaten the Wildcats, but they've also lost to the Hawks. So it could go either way, but I just think that they're slowly building at the right time.
I'm not with you.
No?
No. I think
surprised.
Melbourne will hang on, even though they're not looking good. Adelaide are playing better basketball than Melbourne, but you think Melbourne are going to do enough to be able to scrape in.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think Melbourne's a better team than Adelaide. But one thing I do notice about Adelaide is Joey Wright coaches the team like he's a hard ass. He's hard to play for. It always seems like half a season before new guys can really start to flourish in his system. So maybe we're going to see Adelaide with a strong run home.
No, exactly right. Look at how Eric Griffin's playing. You know, he's obviously finding his feet as well. I think their role players are going to be key for the rest of this season. Jack McVeigh, Brendan Teese is dropping double figures, 11 points. If they can continue to do that, that's going to be really, really helpful for them.
Yeah, they need that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, exactly right. We also are going to talk about the Sydney Kings because on the weekend we had the charity game, all for such a great cause for the Starlight Foundation, raising money and awareness for sick children around the country. We also had a little bit of fun with it though, didn't we? It was
MVP.
I don't know about
Yes,
that, but we
Joe.
got the win at least.
Come on.
Team Heel up against.
Jumping Joe, jump shot Joe.
No.
Well,
Let him rip.
we're going to have a look at the highlights now. Take a look.
Let's just get ourselves, get some shots up, get warm, and when the bright lights come on, good things will happen.
Every time you're open and you're at the three-point line, if you don't think you can hit a three, take a dribble in and shoot it. I want to shoot the ball before we turn it over.
One of the advantages, if you look down there, that we're going to have is we've got a fair bit of height. So with both teams, I've split up a couple of bigs. If you pass, cut or set a screen on somebody and then space it out, big fellas stay close, get it into them and play. Crash those boards though, because there'll be a lot of missed shots.
If all else fails, just give the ball a shot.
Yeah.
Hammer on three. 1, 2, 3. Hammer!
He's going down today, baby.
10. Yeah, baby! There we go.
Get to our spots. Shoot that, shoot that.
Who's going to be the key for your team to get the win?
I reckon Joe Healy. I reckon she's going to get on a little bit of a roll right now. Couple in a row. There she is. Hit that. Did Joe Healy just step out of bounds? She stepped out of bounds. And she's on the basketball show. You are kidding me. Yeah.
You gonna call those now? Now you gonna call those?
Shot, go get it. Hit that, that's your shot. All day, all day. Everyone in purple.
We're number 2.
Yeah.
Great day for charity.
Don't worry about charity.
Hey,
Are you kidding me?
I cannot believe that, Logan, I can't believe that was on the highlights reel and my actual shots were not on the highlights.
You did make some great shots. You were the MVP.
Yeah, you got to get friendly with the editor. Yeah.
But let's be honest,
Human.
it was a great day.
It was
well
awesome.
done. Jamie Soward
Yeah.
initiated the whole thing, put a lot of work into it. So fantastic to raise some great money as well.
Yeah, it was really well done. And we really got looked after in the locker room, drink bottles everywhere. Kings did a fantastic job in being the host for that as well.
They did. Fantastic.
Yeah,
and
no-
let's grow it next year.
Yes, definitely.
We
Absolutely.
want a 40-minute game.
Yep, if
televised.
you're out. Yes, let's do it. While we were there, I sat down for my very first crunch time with Dan Ewing, who was on Team Carfino. How did you think he performed?
I thought he underperformed. You know, he promised a lot. He was our point guard because he pointed around a lot.
Did he?
Yeah,
Right.
he pointed around a lot. You know, we're talking about running on balls and doing this and throwing lobs and, you know, that's the problem, Dan. If you're good, I expect a lot from you. So, yeah, I thought he underperformed.
All right, well, take a listen to crunch time. I think he had a bit of a sulk as well, actually. All right, let's do it. Quickfire, you ready?
Let's go.
Okay, threes or dunks?
Threes, because Joe Healy put several in our eye today.
Good answer. Jocks or boxes?
No, definitely boxes, and the long ones too. I've got sort of thick legs, so you know they ride up if I don't. Sorry, I know this is quick fire. Sorry.
I'll take your word for it. Tropical island or ski resort?
Oh, tropical island all day, all day.
Which NBL player would you never want to meet down a dark alley?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to say, and for everyone playing at home, Andrew Vlahov, just the toughness he played with. Not always the biggest guy, but just the biggest screens, the toughest screens. If he's your mate, meet him down a dark alley. That's great. You want him on your team. Andrew Vlahov, shout out to the Red Army for sure.
All right. If you couldn't be an actor or a baller, what would you be?
Well, I think tonight proved it. I would say a paramedic. It's kind of weird. It's like whenever my mates had injuries, I think I did a first aid course once when I was in Scouts. And from then, it's like if there's an injury or something, it's like I'm jumping on the thing. It's just sort of stuck in my mind. So I'll say a paramedic. Or, if it would have been good to be an accountant or a lawyer, one of those high-paying jobs. But, what are you going to do?
Yeah, can't have everything. Cinema or Netflix?
Ooh, cinema.
Netflix minus the chill, because obviously Netflix.
Cinema, because I've just shot 3 very great movies in the past year. But I think what Netflix is doing is fantastic. But I do love film.
LeBron or MJ?
Oh, MJ for sure, but LeBron is the second best. If anyone talks to me about Harden, stop it.
No, not in the conversation.
It's
you know how Hammer feels about him, right?
It's like two-way players. Okay? You got to be a two-way player. I mean, it's not even a thing. Like I can't. Millennials, disgusting, all of them.
And finally, Carfino or Hill?
Obviously, Carfino, but you gotta tip your hat to the great Shane Hill as well and what he did for this club, and
because we won today.
Okay, Jane, it's fine. He's getting arrogant now. And what Joe Healy did for the Sydney Kings, but it's just how great is it that we're sitting there having this conversation in a venue like this, and we're doing a celebrity game, and everyone's involved, and there's 12,000 people outside. It's a great thing. The Sydney Kings have done such a great job, so it's great.
They have. Thank you for your time today, and let's go and have another vino.
Well, I don't drink, Joe, but you can.
I'll have yours.
Thank you so much.
I think the key word there was another.
Another one or two.
Hey, we'd finished playing. We'd won. I was celebrating. I think I'd had one.
Were you wearing your MVP thing?
No, didn't get one.
You didn't get one?
No.
Oh, it's in the mail. I'll get it for you.
I hope so.
Good, great.
All right, well, to sum it up, Joe Healy with the Adelaide 36ers, the win for Team Heel, and the Joe in the know. That's it.
It's time now for the Unibet game preview. Who's hot? Who's not?
Yeah, now it's time to make some money on the Unibet preview with my man here, Shane Hill. Has all the knowledge. I'm riding on his coattails because I've got my wallet out and I'm ready to make some money. Shane, we're going to have the Sydney Kings going to New Zealand playing the Breakers.
Well, I think the Kings take the momentum that they've got from their win on Saturday against Cairns. I think they beat the New Zealand Breakers 1-10. I think they'll fight hard, the Breakers.
I think it'll be 11 plus. I think
11.
the Sydney Kings are on a little bit of a roll now. I can feel it. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix on their way to the Wild Wild West playing the Perth Wildcats. Good luck.
They'll need some luck because the Wildcats are looking good. Their new signing with a full week of practice as well, Plumley. I think they win 11 plus. Southeast Melbourne are not looking good to me right now.
I agree, 11 plus. Illawarra Hawks going to Brisbane and taking on the Bullets on Saturday night.
Well, it's going to be tough for the Hawks from here, I think. And the Brisbane Bullets have found a little bit of momentum, playing with some confidence. And I think they win that one 11 plus in a high-scoring game.
That's me. 3 for 3 on 11 plus. I'll agree with you on that one. Adelaide 36ers are at Cairns.
Good game.
Very good game. I know
good
both
game.
teams are hungry, especially Cairns after dropping 1 to 7.
Now, we've been doing well with Cairns tips at home. They traditionally don't win by more than 11. So 1-10, I'm going on Cairns again. I think they will get it done against a desperate Adelaide 36ers.
I think Cairns by 11 plus just because I'm trying to go with as many 11 pluses as possible. I want to make a little bit more money. Bigger odds on that one. Melbourne United at New Zealand.
Well, United is struggling for me. Just don't have that momentum like we've spoken about. I think the New Zealand Breakers can sneak one here. I think they win 1-10 after losing to the Kings on Friday night.
All right, well, I'm for the big dollars. I'm going for the long shot. Melbourne United on the road, New Zealand. I'm going to go Melbourne United 11 plus. I know you think it's crazy, but you got to risk it to take the biscuit, that's for sure. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix at Sydney.
Well,
at Kudos Bank Arena.
That is as tough a road trip as you are going to get in basketball. The Perth Wildcats on Friday night and then travel to Sydney for another spanking on Sunday. 11 plus for the Sydney Kings. 11
plus for me and the Sydney Kings. All the way down 11 plus. Let's get into our NBA matchups. The Toronto Raptors are at OKC. The Thunder are playing some ball.
They certainly are. They poked themselves in the eye against a depleted Lakers team. And Toronto have got Siakam back and also Powell. So I think they're going to win that game 1-10, low-scoring game against OKC.
All right. Game 2. The Boston Celtics are at Milwaukee, as they say in Wayne's World.
The Bucks are looking good. I think the Bucks win that 11+. I like Boston, but just not quite sure they're at that level.
I know. The Greek freak. Got to go with that. All right. In Game 3, of course, in our NBA roundup is the Portland Trail Blazers. A little mellow action, and they are at
Dallas.
Dallas.
I don't like Portland right now. Not playing great basketball. Dallas, on the other hand, are exciting. I think they win that game 11+. Should be a big win. All
right. Well, that was jam-packed, all kind of stuff right there. Shiloh Hill getting off. We talked to Will Weaver. Everything happening on this show. And you can also see the show, Apple Podcasts, thanks to our sponsors, of course, Unibet, TCL Plex Smartphones, News Corp. I'm Steve Carfino. That's Shane Hill. This is The Basketball Show. We'll see you next time.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.